I'm just going to throw it out there. What makes a good roleplayer?
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
No fear.
When you say no fear, do you mean in terms of like just committing?
It can encompass a multitude of things. In terms of, committing to the character, committing to the situation. Sometimes people may be a bit more trepidatious about not doing certain things because they may think they look silly or,
So no fear of embarrassment and that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, mostly just no fear. If you're gonna do it, do it.
Mm-hmm. I can agree.
I'll agree with that.
What about staying quiet? Or knowing when to, rather.
Yeah, that's definitely
impossible.
No, I think a lot of the time, like I noticed that some of my best role players can stay quiet for 40 minutes and sometimes, respond in certain ways, like just simply gestures or, moments. And then when it's their time to go, they really go, I mean, does a good role player have to be a leader?
No.
I think being a good role player also means you need to be flexible.
I can definitely agree with that. Definitely flexible and also, I guess, able to fit into different roles within a party, and knowing when you have to, I guess. So, cross with both flexibility and wisdom. What makes a good role play during combat?
That could be hard.
Sticking to decisions your character would actually make.
Yeah.
I can agree with that 100%.
Choosing the strictly worse option that might kill you because that's what your character would do.
Yeah. I struggle with that myself actually.
Fuck it, you die.
Yeah, luckily I play
got
some
more
characters. I mean, this is true. I will make decisions, if Josh no keep, I could definitely see Lucius sacrificing himself or stepping in front of other people in order for for his friends to make it out alive. I would definitely make that decision. No
or
problem.
Standing still with your shield up while a bus is dropping towards your head.
That too.
Yeah.
That's definitely a way of playing your character.
I nearly killed my character on the first day of play in Kira's campaign. By doing exactly what Javen would do, which is standing still and being the shield. Terrible decision. He should have run.
I should have broke your arms.
What about also during combat and descriptiveness? Do you think that's a player's job?
Depends.
Yeah, it really does depend. I like that Josh does it.
Josh being one of our role players.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah. I like that he does it a lot, and I don't do it as much, but that's mostly because I'm trying to think through a lot of moves. That's the fighting game player in me. That's the gamer in me trying to think through moves.
I mean, it can be such simple things, right? I mean, one of Dan's character's spiritual weapons is a large beach spade. Simple touches like that can make such a big difference to the flavor of how the next bit of the scene plays out, right?
Truthfully, I mean, true. I do it every now and again, but Josh takes it to a whole new level that I don't feel I encroach on unless I get the kill, and then I get crazy. But
do you think it's a DM's job then, outside of the kill?
I think it's a tandem.
Yeah. I can see that.
I agree with that. Like, I feel like the players should give a good idea of what they're doing and describe the verbs, but then the DM should come in with all the adjectives to what's happening.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I can see that. When it comes to being a good roleplayer, do you think it's important to always refer to yourself as I, to always be the character?
Yeah,
100%.
Because one of our best roleplayers, in my opinion, often says, my character would be standing there. This is Miyago playing Bastion, and he will often say, Bastion sits there and he puts his head in his hands, and then he speaks as his character. I don't find it detracts watching it back, but at the time I thought, I'm not sure about that. I always try and say, sometimes it can be really difficult to explain a gesture. So instead of saying, I'm sitting there, arms open wide, questioning what's going on, I often would flip that to what you would see is Yaber holding his hands up, saying, as if to say what is going on.
Yeah, usually for me to get around that, you see, when I do it, I emote a lot, especially since we're on camera.
I often forget that. A lot. Yeah. I think that's. Do you think that's quite a big part of it? Is how you play your camera role?
I think so too. Actually, it's pretty important. I mean, maybe not everyone will think about that, but I've always been an emotive person. As you can see right now, I'm speaking with my whole body and my hands. So I usually like to, when I get to when I do my RP or whatever, I emote. And I think it comes across pretty nice, especially since we're on the camera.
I find it a lot easier to interact, especially with other players that have cameras, because you can actually see what their body language is for like how they're saying things.
Yeah, I find this works really well a lot of the time, but sometimes out of character stuff comes into your camera mode and you can't really change that, you know, whether it's because something's hilarious or whether it's because, you know, somebody walks in or whatever, and that can really, for me, kill a moment when I'm focusing too much on a camera. So I'm not sure whether I connect the camera to the player too much. I see the player when I look at the camera, not the character they are playing, if that makes sense. But I have noticed in some shows when you watch it, people like even dress up and stuff for role playing. Yeah. So that brings something new to it. Are there different skills required for different campaigns for role playing? Or do you think a good role player should fit into any campaign?
I believe they can, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I think a good role player will fit into any campaign, but like outside of game knowledge will have a lot of impact on the way you're role playing in game. Like there's stuff like real world knowledge that will affect your role playing and affect like what your character do. If like if you're more familiar with certain aspects of the way a campaign is, like someone with more boat knowledge will do better in a more like open sea campaign. Someone with more like survival camping type knowledge will do better out in the wilderness.
That's a really interesting take. I hadn't even considered that as what that wasn't in my head when I said the question. I more meant in terms of the table etiquette and how different people are playing in terms of very serious, deep roleplay campaigns or very laid back, relaxed, amusing campaigns. But you make a really good point. Is somebody who, for example, reads the Forgotten Realms books and then roleplays in the Forgotten Realms will understand the references and the areas and be able to go to here or there more easily than in a homebrew campaign. I mean, I'd be fucked in a space campaign. I know nothing about it. So I suppose that is, that's a really interesting point. What about in terms of table etiquette? In terms of, you know, a more laid back scene or a much more serious role play scenario?
Depends who you're playing with. Like, the more laid back scenes between just a close group of friends always tend to go well. But a more serious group of role players with a more serious mindset will also feed off each other well. And as long as you've got as long as everyone on the table is on the same page and you're all like on the same vibe, you'll do well. Yeah, I think.
Do you think voice acting is a big part of role playing?
No.
I don't do voices because I suck at them, so no.
Yeah, I mean, I also struggle. I mean, I wish that I could do the voices at least for DMing, and you will get the occasional voice out of me. One particular character in Evil Drathnor Keep, he's a necromancer, and he sort of speaks with a voice like this. And it's really I mean, I'm glad that scene was relatively short, because honestly, my voice was broken afterwards. But I do find that people who can voice act really well make a big difference. Mostly because you get a separation from who they are and their character.
Yeah. I find when I DM, I do a lot more voices than when I'm a player. Because when I'm a player, I just try and live as the character the entire time I'm playing. When I'm DMing, I feel the voice acting, like, one, I can do it for a little bit of time, but not like the whole time.
That's my problem.
So it adds that extra layer of texture to the character.
And also, it's really helpful when two of your characters have a discussion with each other. As a DM, I've had multiple opportunities where, well, I always think I'm not going to do that, and then my characters are like, well, can we bring this NPC to that NPC? And I'm like, here it goes. Hi there! Hello! You know, it's this horrible moment. Do you think out-of-game communication is important for role-playing in the game?
Well, it's certainly a lot easier to communicate in-game when you're used to talking to people out-of-game. But yeah, there's a couple times where it's been really useful. Like when we were in Milturn, when we were deciding who was going to be the first mate or second mate or whatever the hell I wound up as.
First mate, yeah.
It was a lot easier for us to discuss it out of game because we didn't want to sit around for about an hour or so in game discussing this, that, and the other thing. And it was like a lot easier to talk plainly about like character goals and why you wouldn't be or would be interested in that position.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
Which It could have made for good role playing, but like I feel like it would have been a tedious waste of time, personally.
Yeah, I think sometimes discussions are much quicker and easier out of. I mean, I struggle because obviously the campaigns I run are streamed. Sometimes out of context, discussion between players is quite necessary in certain parts of a campaign, and sometimes it's quite difficult for people to do that when the campaign is being streamed. But you see, I mean, even if you watch some of the best stuff, if you're a Critical Role fan, you will see moments where they'll come out of character to go, sorry, I just want to check, is that, or are you, as a character, going in this direction? Because, you don't want to step on other people's role-playing, and sometimes you can't ask that question in a role-playing manner and it not come across rude, simply. I wonder, we haven't mentioned much in terms of character connection. Do you think certain character builds are easier to roleplay?
You talking about mechanically?
No, I mean, for example, if I play, let's put it another way. One of the big mistakes I see a lot of players do when they're newish to D&D and come into the campaigns is make a character that doesn't care.
Yeah.
And you can't roleplay a character that doesn't care because, frankly, you've got nothing to roleplay. So, in terms of the goodly paladin or, the typical grumpy dwarf, etc., do you think, like, certain stereotypes, certain character builds are easier to roleplay, or do you think that a good roleplayer will make a character that is roleplay worthy?
I would say it's more role-playing experience because you can play a character who doesn't care, but if you're a good role player, you'll still find reasons to do stuff and interact with the party. Whereas if you're a newer player and you're trying to play a character who just doesn't care about things, you're just like, my character doesn't care, I'm out. Like, you guys go deal with the fucking dragon. I don't care about this town. I'll sit here on this log and hand beans and read the Daily Inquirer or something.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like
I think a character has to care about something, though, right? Even if it's just themselves.
Yeah, like the non-caring character has to care about something in order for like, because if you take a non-caring character, like Luvon is pretty much a non-caring character. Well, he does care about something.
Yeah.
So it's like, to play a character that's just like, I'm just gonna sit in this log, eat these beans, and read the Scale Inquirer, is why you're playing the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the other thing is that find me a human that doesn't care about anything.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
They don't exist.
No one.
Oh,
No. They can't be entirely apathetic. They must care about certain things, like themselves or their hunger or getting rich, or they might have some ambitions. They might not. You can play a character who is unambitious and doesn't really mind where they wind up and is a tag along, but they still care about certain things. Maybe they only care about their party members. Maybe they care about that wand they really like that they lost 3 months ago. It doesn't. You have to have a drive, right, as a character. Probably the most important skill as a good role player is good improvisation skills.
Improvisation is everything in D&D.
It really is. It is everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say improvisation and creativity. You can get away with having a character that is incredibly well prepped and knowing what their reactions are to certain situations, but you've still got to have those base improvisation skills.
Yeah, I'm a very, flowchart, this leads to this situation type of thing, well planned out and prepared everything. I throw all that out the window when I'm playing characters in D&D. I don't want to know what I want to do. I like surprising my damn self when I play my characters.
That must make character creation both really easy and really difficult for you.
It's just, with my playstyle, it becomes really easy, because I know I will figure it out and work my way to wherever I need to be. But yeah, it does have its challenges with what are my goals going to be? I don't know. We'll figure that part out later.
I was more thinking when you create a character. Let's say if you're going to leave it very open ended, doesn't every single cleric end up with the best spells for any given situation? You were talking earlier about sometimes taking the weaker option because it fits your character's persona, but if you're not fleshed out, does that not make that a lot harder?
I tend to take stuff that looks like it could be fun. and then I will figure it out from there, and I will use the fun thing, and I will make it make sense, probably.
So I've highlighted a few things. I just want to see whether you guys agree with this, that the key skills we decided for a good role player were...
Monks.
Sorry?
Keep skill points. Monks.
Oh.
Come on, James.
Yeah, brain. Yeah, so the key things I had were good communication skills in and out of game. That's sort of a given. If you can't communicate, you can't play D&D. Improvisation skills, creativity, lack of fear or no shame, I've put. So, you know, being able to play the role without fear of being embarrassed, committing to your character, giving other
scene.
Yep, giving other players space, and using the tools you've been given by DMs, etc. Is there anything key we think is missing there?
Adaptability, probably.
Yeah, we did talk about flexibility, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. It's a skill in itself, right?
It's definitely a skill. And yeah, it's definitely a skill. Like I've always played roles, even when I was younger, walking around pretending around to be a T-Rex and all that other stuff. So
interesting enough, I do think a lot of people
polymorph at a very young age.
Yeah, I did.
Dude, you're ahead of the curve.
I do think some people who are actors actually struggle with roleplay though, because the one big difference with D&D and acting, right, or taking on a role, is that underneath it all, you have to feel and you have to think and you have to respond to that. And sometimes, you know, any actor who knows their role well can tell you how their character would feel in any given situation, but they can't always make a choice in any given situation. And I think
I'm going to disagree with that one, because a lot, like, I can't think of an example right off the top of my head, but a lot of actors do a lot of improv and stuff in scenes that does end up making it into the final cuts of the movies.
Oh, and many actors will be phenomenal role players, don't get me wrong, but I think that is an added skill, right? There are actors who are a little more, they get into their character and they play the character as the script says. It is a jump, right, to be able to make a choice. I was more talking on an amateur level. You know, somebody who comes in from an acting school doesn't necessarily have all the abilities to roleplay. Is more what I was getting at. There is one aspect we haven't mentioned today, and that is sort of enthusiasm for your fellow players. And perhaps this is more of a skill for a production-based...
I feel like that's more of an out-of-game thing, though, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But it's certainly an enthusiasm for your friends, and also, you know, to be able to sit there and really contribute a whole lot of nothing other than the odd and still be a complete character. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. So yeah, thank you guys for your time, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and thanks to Kira and Dan for being a part of this. If you want to see more of this shorter discussion style video, there's more coming up soon. Or if you want to catch our full campaigns, check us out live on Twitch at Eleanor197, or look for our YouTube full playlists. Or you can find us on TikTok or Twitter, Eleanor197 Live. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you soon.